And we're live. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today I thought we would do just a little sit and chill. I kind of got this idea from another YouTuber in another space. Not another YouTuber, he's actually a knife maker. And it inspired me to sit down and say, I get people asking me this all the time. Or in various forms of it, I guess. How would you start a pickup company? So I guess I'll just kind of tell you what I would do, what I wouldn't do, some things that I would avoid. And this could apply whether you want to do it for a living, whether you want to do it for a hobby, which isn't really a company, but, I think it might be helpful. And even if you just want to wind pickups for fun in your shop, you might take away some things from this. But there's going to be a little bit more in depth. And I thought, it would just be easy to do it live and just sit here and have a glass of Jefferson and chat with you all about this. So, how do we start a pickup company? This is tough. This is one of those things that, I live in a business where there's a lot of secrets. People keep a lot of secrets. They don't want to tell, how they do things. And I kind of think that's dumb. I think it's better to just, share, a lot of things. Now, there's some things I can't share, but I'll be specific about that. Here's the thing, though, is that I'm willing to share what I know because the secrets of this business are not what is important. The reason I say that is you're going to develop your own. If you make pickups, even if you do it for a hobby, you're going to develop your own secrets, but they're going to be yours. And the whole rest of the business and everything surrounding it is pretty common, right? Wrapping wire around a coil is wrapping wire around a coil. Now, there are specifics to that you'll keep to yourself. And always keep those to yourself. Have a notebook that you write everything down in, that you keep track of everything in. We'll get to that in a few minutes, but that's something that's really important. Keep track of everything and write it all down. But the secrets aren't the thing that makes the difference. It's really the business side of it. It's really the how you build it and what you build. So we'll talk about that. Of course, this is my 9th business. I've been building up businesses since I was very, very young in my teens. And so I've been doing this stuff all my life, even if it's not pickups. And so I've got a lot of experience from a lot of different areas that I brought to this that have made it a success for me and my family, at least. As what I'm going to tell you and what I am telling you now, gonna get you to be the next Seymour Duncan? Probably not, because that's not my goal. My goal is to just support my family and enjoy my quality of life. The other thing I should mention is these are always ad-free, so if you want to use a super chat, you're welcome to do so. If you have questions, put them in there, and maybe we'll get to them in a little bit, but if you use a super chat, I'll answer it right away. And as you are aware, because we're here, we make pickups, so you can go to DylanTalksTown.com if you decide it's too much of a pain to make your own, and just buy them from me, because that's what we do. First things first, I would not borrow money to do this. I would not go into debt to build a pickup business because you won't make any money for quite a while, especially if pickup winding and pickup building. And I think this is guitar parts in general. If you have an idea for a guitar part, if you have an idea for a pedal, anything like that, chances are it's going to take you a while to get to the point where you can actually make a few bucks. And so I would definitely not recommend borrowing money to do this. I would say that it's one of those things where you kind of build it on a budget. Start from I never borrowed. I've never borrowed any money for a business. That's always been just kind of slowly building it over time. But just know that it's a commitment that you probably won't make much, if any, money at first. And there's going to be a lot of, there's just going to be a fair amount of time before that happens. It's just like any business, really. But especially with this, because there are some cultural things, there are some skill things that are involved that we'll get into here in a minute. Practical things, don't make your own tools. I know a lot of folks want to be like, I'm going to make a pickup winder out of a sewing machine. I'm going to make a pickup winder out of a drill, a fishing reel, or whatever. I saw some plans on Etsy. I get it. I understand. If your goal is to make good, consistent pickups, buy a good pickup winder. If your goal is to build a pickup winder out of a fishing reel, then do that. Just know that those are not the same. The quality of this is one of those things where the quality of the tools can have a very marked difference in impression on the quality of the product. Now, I know folks, take for example Chris at Highline Guitars in Colorado. He has an entire plan. He might be the exception. He might be the exception where you could buy the plans from him and build your pickup winder and have something really good. I know he uses this thing that he designed, but he's got a mind for it. And I think if you have the engineering mind for it and you think you can build something good, do that. But you're going to spend a lot of time doing that instead of building towards your goal. So just define what your goal is. Is your goal to make pickups that you can sell or pickups that you can use in your guitars? Or is it to build a pickup winder and that be part of the journey? So you just have to define that and decide. If it was me, I would say definitely buy a pickup winder. If it was me, well, it is me. I have 3 Mojo tone winders. We also have the tone winder from tonewinder.es from Spain. We have the manual one, we have the CNC one, and we have 3 Mojo tone winders. I think the Mojo tone winder is the best. It's the best for all around use and versatility, especially for somebody who's wanting to learn this. So there's where I would start. But before you do that, hey, can you call the dogs so they don't knock my tripod over, please? Okay, so let's say you want to start winding pickups. First question, have you ever done it? Do you know what's involved? You probably watched a bunch of my videos on this channel and you have seen what we do and you understand what we do. You've probably seen some of these videos. Is it something that you actually want to do? Hang on one second. Can you try to keep the dogs in there? Do what? Can you try to keep the dogs in there? Yeah. Thank you. Let's see. So have you ever made one? And then the next question is it good? You're going to need to find some people that you trust that will be able to tell you if your stuff is good or not. This does not mean find the best guitar player in town and ask him. The quote-unquote best guitar player in town does not necessarily have the best ear in town. The guy who has the best gear, the guy who plays the most gigs, is probably may not be the best guy for this. He may not have the best ear. There's a difference. Just because a guy can play the most accurate Led Zeppelin cover doesn't mean that he has the proper ear for the goal of you making the best pickups that you can make. So you have to find people that, and this takes time, to be able to build a relationship with people that you can really trust and that you can enjoy sharing this stuff with, and that they'll be honest with you. Because beyond just learning the mechanics of how to make a pickup, there's a lot more to it. So, for example, I'll teach you how to make a pickup. You can sign up for one of our workshops that we have out in Colorado. We've got one coming up in June. And I'll teach you how to make a pickup. We've taught about 100 people how to make pickups. From there, it's going to be on you to refine that, to get better at that, and to be able to understand what you're hearing, what the changes are, and learn those things. And the only way you can do that. Now, I can give you a couple of websites, and I do this quite often. I can give you a couple of websites that you can go to that will give you baselines for, wind counts and coil shapes and coil measurements and stuff like that. But beyond that, you're going to have to do a lot of experimenting. You're going to make a lot of parts that don't work. You're going to make a lot of parts that kind of work. You're going to make a lot of pickups that sound okay, but are they really anything other than just okay? And you're going to have to learn what makes those changes. Now, I can tell you basic things. I can say, well, use this magnet this way, and this way, and this way, and this way, and that wire, and whatever. You can do that. But what a lot of people lose in all of this, and we see it in the comment sections in a lot of our videos, right? Where people will be like, well, what difference does the magnet make? That's not the question. The question is what result comes from this combination of things. And the only way you can do that is to try that combination of things and then document it, right? I have basically plotted out. I've tried this magnet with this wire, this magnet with this wire, and I know where all these different tones and sounds and specs and everything end up. And now I can kind of shoot the middle and get pretty close, and I can do various things, but I've been doing it for a long time, and I've made, 15,000 pickups now. So then the next thing, being able to make a pickup sound how you want it to sound, is can you make a bunch of them exactly the same? That's the trick. Consistency is the trick. So the reason I'm bringing this up is to not discourage you from doing it, but these are really, really important aspects that you, in order to scale it for other people, to do this for other people, you're going to need to do. It's a lot of work. It's fun, and I love the exploration of it, but just understand that that's what's involved, okay? It's going to take a lot of time. It's going to take a lot of parts. It's going to take documenting everything, have a notebook that you never share with anybody, and you just write all your notes, every spec, everything you've ever tried, all those things, all your mistakes, everything, the reason you broke wire, the reason a pickup sounded crappy, the reason this pickup was too baggy, the reason this pickup was too tight, the reason this wire got tangled up. Every time you make a mistake, you write it down and you document and you document and you document. And then, of course, you're going to need some tools. You're going to need a winder. You're going to need a crock pot. You're going to need a soldering iron. You're going to need some meters. On our Amazon store down below, you can click the link and you'll see a bunch of stuff that we use tools-wise, and I think that'll narrow it down for you. But there's always evolution to that, right? My stuff's been evolving for quite a while. And then the next biggest thing is going to be suppliers. Suppliers are something that I do not share. I'll give you a couple. This is another thing where don't cheap out. Cheap parts make cheap parts. I see this all the time. Where can I get the cheapest magnets? Where can I get the cheapest flat work? And I understand, and cheapest bobbins and whatever. I understand why you're asking that, because you're experimenting and you don't want to spend a lot of money to experiment. But the result of the experiment depends a lot on the quality of the parts. So don't cheap out on this stuff. The end result in the experiment will suck if you buy sucky parts. It just will. And you'll fight it, and you'll hate learning if the parts aren't good. If your flat work is sucky and the magnets don't fit right and blah, 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 all that stuff. Now, we make a lot of parts. We have a lot of kits on our website. You can buy them from us. I would just say buy from StewMac if we don't have it. And I know people don't like StewMac because they think it's expensive, but it's good. Their kits are very good. If there's a kit that they have that we don't have, just buy it from them. Now, we make all of our flat work in-house, and so we take care of all of our quality in-house. So I'm very happy with it. But if there's something that we don't have, buy it from StewMac. or Mojotone. You know, that stuff is. I wouldn't buy flat work from Mojotone. I stopped using them, but some of their kits are good. I personally think StewMac makes the best. Just go there and buy kits stuff. They make good stuff. Beyond that, I'm not going to give you any suppliers. It's taken me 11 years to structure suppliers and etc. And you know, of course, we buy a lot more stuff. I'm in the process of buying 10,000 magnets, something like that. So you know, we buy a lot. So and we buy flat work in 4x8 sheets and make tons and tons and tons of pickups. And we buy, I don't know, a few hundred bobbins at a time of each size. And you know what I mean? So our stuff is, once you're dealing on that scale, those suppliers, I try to keep close to the vest. Now, if you're just getting started and you're going to buy 5 or 10 of something, just buy it from StewMac. The stuff is good. This stuff is good. I'll tell you what, let's, before we go into, so what I was going to say is, let's see. What I was going to say is, up to this point, budget about to really do it right. And it seems like a lot of money when I say the number, but it's not. Okay, it's the same amount of money as an Indonesian guitar, about $1,200. Okay, that will get you, honestly, except for the magnetizer that I use, because the magnetizer that I use is like $800. But let me say this, the setup I was using 1 year ago or 2 years ago, making pickups full time, you could buy for $1,200. Okay, so and everything should be linked below. You should be able to find that stuff. Let's go ahead and go through some of these comments and see if anybody has any questions about this stuff. Do you buy much of your materials overseas, and have the tariffs impacted you? Yes. We'll make no bones about the fact that you cannot get magnets in the United States. There are no magnets to be had for guitar stuff, so we are stuck buying Chinese magnets. There's no way around it. So if you want guitar pickups, there's just no way around it, which really sucks. They have more than doubled. It is insane. So the only way I can kind of mitigate that is buy in higher quantities. If I buy in higher quantities, I can sort of mitigate that. So where we would buy, 5,000 of something before, we will have to buy 10,000 now. So it will require a lot more cash outlay, which really sucks. But it's just kind of part of it. For example, that's for example. Time fighting Gibson lawsuits? No, don't need to worry about that. I've seen way too many craftsmen fail in business because they're not businessmen. We're going to talk about that. Let's see. Let me just run through here. It's not rocket science. Test on a lot of rigs and styles and trust your gut, not rocketry. I sort of disagree with that. You really do need to understand the science to it if you're going to be successful, because it is not rocket science, but there is sort of a next level of basic electronics when you're building an LCR circuit, which is what a guitar is. There is a fair amount of stuff that you need to at least have a basic understanding of, but then beyond that, it's just trying stuff. So somewhere in the middle. Sounds fun. Rather make a pickup than a coffee cup. Let's see. Consistency. Yep. Hey, no, buddy. Hey, Zeba. I understand. I understand that you want my whiskey, but now is not the time. Okay. Thank you. Not to mention, you just farted, and I can smell it. Ugh. Let's see. Have any companies ever wound pickups with your with other materials? Yeah, they have. So pickup wire is like like a guitar string has an outer core and an inner core. No, it's actually a solid core wire with an insulation on it, on the outside. At the end of the day, don't all the electronics and copper wires originate from China? No, not everything. Not everything, but a lot of that stuff. In fact, not a lot, but a lot of that stuff ends up being processed. So one of the things with electronics is, and not to get too far off topic here, but a lot of things with electronics is the raw materials can come from all over the world, but the processing is kind of locked down by China. Do you consider your business successful, and what was the point that defined it? If not, when would you consider it to be successful? Oh yeah, I'm totally successful. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I'm having a blast. It's funny because people will get in comments of videos and be like, you know, somebody was saying I need validation. That's why I'm talking about like a relic guitar the other day. And I'm like, I don't need validation. I'm making a living doing something that I love, and my family is being supported, and we enjoy time together. My wife works in an office in there. I get to work with an office in here. My dog is right here. My daughter's right over there. We just have, it's great. So I feel that is success. That is my goal, is to be able to support my family and to be able to do it doing something that I absolutely love, and also do it improving the lives of others that really care about that. So let's talk about business. Yeah, go Leafs, go. They're not. I've got it right here on mute. So let's talk about business. First of all, if you're going to start a business, this is anything, but especially with pickup stuff, with guitar stuff, with art related stuff, you have to understand why you're doing it. Why are you doing it? If you're doing it to get rich, you might as well just stop. And that's not because you're going to be a failure. That's not because it's not profitable. You can make a great living. But the problem is that there's so much work and time that goes into it that distracts you from the actual art. That it takes a very special person to keep the art of guitar playing and the art of music and the art and the enjoyment of those things somehow separated from the fact that you have to get up on a Monday morning. Tomorrow I have to get up on a Monday morning and build a pick guard for somebody, right? And so you have to really understand why you're doing it. What is gets a little woo-woo for some people, but you really do need to understand the why of what you're doing. Hey, Zeba, no, please don't chew on that. Because if you chew on that, then we will have no more camera signal. Okay. One of the biggest things that people will do in pickup winding business is they don't charge enough. This is hard work. This is tedious. The parts are expensive. Anybody that says that a single coil pickup should not cost $100 has never tried it. Anybody who has gone through one of our classes and learned how to wind a pickup, not one of those people ever again complains about how expensive a guitar pickup is. It's not easy. It is a tedious thing that you can learn and then you can replicate. But when you are doing this for a living and you are getting $140 for a humbucker and $120 for a P90 and $100 for a single coil, you're earning your living. There's a lot to it. And the people that don't think so, they can go buy cheap pickups from Guitar Fetish and stuff. They're just not my customer. It's totally fine. So what I would say to you, and there are some folks that do this, these guys that are quote unquote making pickups by hand for $50, for $40, they have no business sense, and they're doing two things. They're hurting the whole business because they're not charging enough, and they're also not going to be in business for any amount of time because it's not sustainable. It is not sustainable. They have no. Here's what they do. Here's why they do it. They have no distribution channel. They have no room for growth. You cannot grow at $50 a pickup because then you can never make more than you can make. So there's no growth there. There's no profit there beyond a certain volume. There is no. It's just it's business stuff. We could get really in the weeds here, but the bottom line is if there are certain formulas for how much something should cost versus what the parts are, the labor and all, and if you don't follow those formulas and you're only spending $50 or charging $50 for a humbucker, you're just not a businessman. You're not gonna stay in business. It's just not gonna happen. You definitely need to nail down. You definitely need to nail down your suppliers and continue to evolve those things over time. You also need to be able to be a business person. This is not just about the art. This is not just about the craft. And in 2025, there's a few things you have to have. You have to have a solid social media presence. You have to have a solid website. You have to be a photographer. You have to understand Photoshop. You have to do all those things unless you can afford to pay someone, and you can't. You won't be able to. Not at first. I actually can't. I can't afford somebody to do all my website and art and stuff. We do all that in-house. So all those things cost. They all cost. And you can't just throw up a Facebook page and make a couple of posts. You got to have everything. You got to have a YouTube channel. You got to have Instagram. You have to have a complete marketing plan and a complete business plan and how you're going to reach your audience, who your audience is. You have to define your audience. I know exactly the customer that I want to sell to. You have to do all of those things ahead of time. Otherwise, you're just going to be like, hey, I have some pickups for sale on Facebook, and nobody's going to buy them because you have not defined all those things and have given no reason to look at your stuff. And this is probably harder than making the pickups themselves. Because you have to do all the things all the time, every day. Instagram, Facebook, social, YouTube, website maintenance, all those things. And you have to do them all every day. The minute you let your foot off the gas with any one of those things, everything stops. It's bonkers. If we miss a video on a Monday, it takes me 2 weeks to get that momentum back. It's crazy. It's a lot of work. That's probably the hardest part. Beyond developing the skill to do it in the first place. So there's so much more to it than just sitting down there and winding pickups, which I can teach you how to do in a couple hours. That's no big deal. A couple of suggestions I would make if you're going to go down this road, which I'm not discouraging you to do it. I want everybody to learn how to wind pickups. I think it's amazing because you know what? Who's going to do it when I get too old to do it? I don't know. I don't want it to be a lost art. I want more people to learn. And you're not going to compete with me because you're not going to make the same thing I make. We all make different flavors of stuff, right? It's just like ice cream, right? So that's why I'm okay with sharing this stuff. A few things outside of this that you're going to need and some suggestions that I would make that are sort of related but not related. One is I would try to set aside any preconceived ideas about music that you have and explore all kinds of music. Music that does not have guitar in it, music that is not even related to guitar. Explore music. Have an open mind for it because the whole point is that you need to have an ear. It's not about making a sound. It's about having an ear so that you can make the sound, okay? It's not about, oh, this is the tone of such and such a song or such and such a whatever, or 60s or 70s, or the dates don't matter. The thing is, you need to have an open mind about music enough so that you can listen to stuff that doesn't even have strings, anything, doesn't matter. You have to understand where a guitar fits in the soundscape, and you have to understand what you're competing with, all the other instruments that aren't guitar, and really focus on that. Really, I don't listen to guitar music when I'm not working. I listen to all kinds of other music when I'm not working, because I want to continue to develop my ear so that I can hear everything. And if you just listen to Led Zeppelin all the time, you're just going to be super one-dimensional, and it's not going to work. I would also explore the structures of many small businesses. I would look at their marketing plans. I would look at their channels. I would look at their Instagrams, how they do things outside of the guitar business. I do this a lot. I actually don't watch any guitar YouTube. I watch pocket knife content. I watch fountain pen content. I watch Scotch content and whiskey content and all kinds of other hobbies that are not guitar. And I do that so that it keeps me fresh when I go to develop something or when I go to do something for my business, so that I'm not overwhelmed by it or burnt out by it, number one. And number two, so that I can learn other marketing and other aspects of how to run a business outside of the normal guitar thing. Because as you are aware, I'm sure you are tired of every guitar product company doing things exactly the same all the time for the last 70 years too. And so it's the best way to keep it fresh. Just don't copy another pickup company in the guitar business. And continue to hone your other skills, videography, photography, all those things. We talked about this at the beginning, but make sure that you're following a passion, that you really, really love this stuff, and that you're not following the dollar, because you're not going to see the dollar right away. If you love this and if you're passionate about it, then do it. I would also recommend talking to your spouse or significant other about it, and make sure that they're supportive of you too, because there's going to be months where you're either not going to be there because you're going to be working your butt off, or you're going to be up at 2 o'clock in the morning drawing something, or you're going to not be able to pay the electric bill because it was slow at the beginning, and you're going to need some help. So it depends on how all in you go with all this, but having a supportive spouse, and to allow for the space and the expenditure of the tools and all those things. So your significant other in your relationship needs to be supportive of you as well. So those are just some things I just wanted to share with you. I hope you all have, I hope you can, I hope you can do some stuff. Let's see. I'm going to ask these few questions here. In your opinion, what makes a pickup exceptional? Also, when does a hot pickup become absurd? Hot pickups are absurd when they become muddy, which isn't very absurd. Not very hot, actually. Expound on the love and you have a better chance. Yeah, exactly. I respect the grind and I've watched a bit. Let's see. I can't afford to pay attention. So funny. So there you go. Just some things. I just wanted to share that stuff with you. I hope everybody had a nice evening just hanging out, talking about this stuff. And I hope okay, here's the other thing. If you don't make pickups and you have something else that you want to do, I don't know, paper airplane kits, I don't know, whatever you're into. I hope that this inspires you to go do that thing. Or if you start making pickups and you're like, this is dumb, I'm just going to buy some from Dylan, but I have this other thing that I'm passionate about, paper airplane kits or whatever it is, and you go do that thing, I hope that I was able to help you do that thing instead. Thanks for hanging out, and we will see you tomorrow.